Joining me now from Miami, Florida is Remi Piet. He's senior partner at the consulting firm Embley Advisory. Remi, let's start with relations between China and the EU. Where do they stand currently, and what would you say are the key takeaways from this dialogue?
Well, it was a quite interesting, meeting between Wang Yi and Josep Borrell, who's the, lead authority on foreign affairs for the European Union. Quite a timely one, just after the United Nations General Assembly, where we've seen some, differences of views sometimes with the Biden administration. Obviously, a different position towards the AUKUS deal that did not include the European Union. The European Union has been backing France on this deal that was suggesting a less assertive position in the Indo-Pacific region and Asian region, sorry. And so that's interesting to try to see what we take from there. Also, in terms of timing, the elections in Germany with Angela Merkel stepping down has clearly also shown that parties, pro-European parties, had won this election, whether the SPD or the CDU, which strengthened the European Union as an international actor for discussion for China. So here, really, it's questions of trying to see areas of collaboration. There were climate change, obviously, ahead of COP26 in Glasgow, but also trying to look at other issues such as financial trade or high techs and different conversation in terms of freedom of passage, obviously, in the region, as your former intervenant also mentioned.
Well, let's go point by point on some of these things that you just mentioned. You mentioned AUKUS. What is the impact of that? And then you also have Quad, with the EU being left out. As this bloc tries to work with China, what are the impacts of these groupings?
Yeah, obviously, and following Brexit, the UK is no part of the European Union, so no member of the European Union is part of AUKUS on this alliance. That means that the ties with the European Union allows to have an independent view on those questions. There is obviously a rise of tensions in the region. It's not dating from AUKUS. There's been a series of intimidation from both sides and on what is the perception of access to the sea, and some of them lean to issues of sovereignty. But obviously, AUKUS has been kind of stepping up towards, especially in the type of propulsion for the submarines provided to Australia, which is nuclear propulsed submarines, which was not the option that was with the French. And so that obviously has stepped up a little more the levels of conflicts. Now, again, this is a new issue on the agenda, because usually discussions on European Union and China are much more centered on economic issues. Sometimes issues of human rights were addressed to some level at this meeting between Wang Yi and Josep Borrell. But it shows also why it's so important for China to maintain a strong relationship with the European Union, to work with Brussels, and probably President Macron, if he's re-elected next year, or other key leaders coming out of the German election, probably Olaf Scholz in Berlin, to be able to build some kind of an independent dialogue, different from the one with the Biden administration, probably.
And that being said, talking about these leadership changes across the EU, we have about 30 seconds left. If you can explain, could we see any changes in the way that Germany deals with China, France deals with China, depending on what the outcome is here?
So again, in Germany, clearly the elections have pushed for a more pro-European voice, with a strengthened SPD and the Green Party also. So that pushes, again, climate change as key issues for potential collaboration with China. In France, President Macron, looking at the handling of the pandemics, he looks favored for the next re-elections. And again, it's very early, so that would mean that he will be still a key actor. But it was very clear over the last few years that the discussion should be held also at the Brussels level, with the key work done by Claude Michel or Ursula von der Leyen in Brussels. So that's key. This development will be very interesting to follow, because there could be a very interesting joint interest and win-win partnership, exactly the ones that Xi Jinping mentioned at the UNGA last week.
All right, always great to get your take. Remi Piet, thank you so much for joining us from Florida.